You really did. No, you did create that fight scene. It was great to watch you doing it. Does that how fight scenes normally worked out, the way we did it?
You know, if you'd done a lot of action stuff, you and I would have been, you know, working out of the same kit bag. We would have had the same experience, and we would have participated in it. You certainly controlled the parameters of where we went, and happily, we were on the same page. I think I felt we were on the same page all the way through the movie. It didn't, you know, we might have only got there the day before, but when we came, the ink was still fresh on the page.
It was.
We did get on the same page when we did stuff. So I developed confidence in you. You developed confidence in me.
But why is it? I mean, everybody really finds that fight exciting. If you analyse it, it's relatively simple, but it just seems to have a... it has a reality to it? Is it that it's...
I think because it's crunchy, it hurts.
Yeah, that's what people say.
You can feel the hurt, and that's what I mean, it's become so... I've said it so often, it really is tedious, but you can't get that from the back of a stuntman's head. You've got to be on the eyes of the character in order to feel his exhaustion, his pain, his triumph, his fear, all of that. And it's what keeps the audience sealed in. So much of what passes for action now is kinetics. There's no geography, there's no character involved. It's just the flash of kinetic energy.
Don't you think that the use of CGI in, not moving you away from it, but the same story really, CGI in terms of action, explosions and car crashes has actually taken away a lot from the excitement of filmmaking?
I think that's so true. I mean, because what we lose when we do that is human scale.
Yeah, you do.
That's what I think is good about this fight, is that you have no chance to get out of it.
No.
That it is human scale.
You've always done most of your stunts.
I don't do. I mean, you're like some.
Don't you start with me?
Damn reporter. Yeah, I don't do stunts.
Well, you did a lot in that. You did half that stair fall yourself.
High falls, fire gags, car rolls. That's stunt work.
Yeah.
What I do is physical acting, and I know how you can break it down into manageable pieces and put and you know where the camera needs to go for it, and blah blah blah. It's not a stunt.
Okay.
It's physical acting.
But the physical action.
There's one stunt in the fight, and that is where the guy is straight-armed over the porch railing. The character I play is over the porch railing to the bottom of the trench.
And then it's you again.
And I knew that was going to hurt.
Yeah.
The stunt guy knew.
That's why you don't direct, isn't it? Because you know it hurts.
Exactly. I knew the stunt guy knew it was going to hurt, and in fact, it did hurt.
Yeah.
So happily, we got it in one shot.
There's something that you did in the film which I was really pleased with. I think you were as well. Was where we reshot a scene where you, having seen, I think that we'd seen the movie put together, and you could see the development of your character, and you decided to go back and redo a scene in the car where you're close to tears, where you're almost in tears when you're calling Harry on the phone. And I think that was a really right and brave decision to do on your part, because it gave so. As a member of the audience, I suddenly felt much more empathy for that man.
Well, what we'd always looked for was a place to register the effect of this character's experience, to the extent that he was brought to a place where he was almost broken down. And we thought about it and thought about it. We tried to put it in. We once had the intention to have him drive away from the house, having killed the bad guy, and stop on the side of the road and lose it.
Yeah.
Which would have been reasonable. But I think we hit upon a far better idea, which is to have it upside him, and he didn't know it was coming.
Yeah. I think, again, for me, that's what makes this film special in your character, is that he isn't Superman. He's an ordinary man who's just doing what he can to save his family.
Almost every film I work on these days, there's a bit of a reshoot.
Yeah.
I don't know why it is.
Well, there should be, truthfully.
So one of the reshoots that we did, the story had always, and it was a major miscalculation that we made. I don't know how we got so dumb. We let Mary Lynn drive the car.
Oh, yeah.
We
yeah,
let
no,
her
that was a
drive the
mistake.
car.
Yeah.
And when this guy is trying to find his family, he can't be sitting next to somebody else who's driving the car. Well, we shot the whole thing oblivious to it. What in God's name were we thinking? But when we went back and determined that we had very few scenes that we actually had to shoot in order to get Jack driving, what a difference!
Much better. I'll tell you a story here because the movie's out now, and the DVD's out now. But you don't know this yet. No one knows it. But one of the scenes, she's still driving the damn car. But there's nothing we can do about it.
It's a long shot.
Hey? No, it's a wide shot, but she's still driving the car. When they go across the railway crossing, she's driving the car. And we only noticed about an hour before we locked the picture. I didn't want to tell anybody because there's no way we could reshoot it. So for the DVD spotters, she's still driving the car in one shot. No one notices. I think we decided very early on that we wanted the technology to be real, and that we both disliked enormously movies where suddenly you cut to computer screens and they look like something from Star Trek in what has been, up to that point, an ordinary real office building in New York. And I think people do get carried away with graphics, so we deliberately had boring graphics. Having decided to make that real, then one got very frightened it would be really boring. But it wasn't,
except
really.
that we observed the cardinal rule. Something other than a computer had to be happening, and that's on the face of the character.
The technology was real. I mean, you could actually rob a bank doing the things that we did. They would all work.
But what really worked, and it's come to me to understand this, not when we were making the film, but now, that the real reason it worked was because they were behind the firewall.
Right.
They were not trying to get into the bank through the firewall or through my system of protection. I took them behind the firewall. And that's where all bets are off. They can do any, you can manipulate the system really easily. But I don't think the interest, what appeals to an audience is not the technology, not the bits, not the wit of it, but the emotional story that sustains them throughout the film.
It's always the characters. I mean, that's the first thing I look for when I'm looking for a script. Is what can the actors do? Because you don't walk out of a movie because it's badly photographed or badly costumed. You walk out of it because it's badly acted and uninteresting. And so, if you can get
or badly directed.
Does that happen?
Occasionally.
Really?
Yes.
Gracious.